Well, it's about time. Google, which has weaponized its algorithms to filter out and ultimately silence political speech that's not aligned with the George Soros globalist vision for the world, is now subject of an antitrust investigation by the Department of Justice. Yes, according to the Wall Street Journal on Friday, the DOJ has opened an antitrust investigation of Alphabet Inc., which could present a major new layer of regulatory scrutiny for the search giant. And again, it's about time. As I've been reporting for most of this year, Google and YouTube has been actively censoring the content of many content creators, including SGT Report, by preventing videos from many producers from showing up in the recommended videos column. The result of the algo change by YouTube, officially announced on January 22nd of this year, has been extremely damaging for many channels in the alternative news and politics space on the world's largest video sharing platform.
So, I get a message like this in my analytics data for May. In May, you gained 3,304 subscriptions, a bit less than usual because you reached fewer people who weren't already subscribed. Well, that's obvious, because YouTube presented my videos to less people who weren't already subscribed. And this phenomenon is affecting not just myself, but the likes of Irate Bear, Independent Man, Stefan Molyneux, Styx Hexenhammer 666, and Black Pigeon Speaks, among many others, no doubt. Channels that are witnessing a sharp decline in overall monthly subscriber growth and or view counts. Molyneux, for example, has only recently started to bleed subscribers like crazy, and his views are down by 25%. And so is Black Pigeon Speaks, and his views are nowhere near what they used to be.
And friends, as I've been pointing out, the changes at YouTube to target political speech specifically and to damage those previously fast-growing channels is illegal under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, and it is also clearly tortious interference, which is also known as intentional interference, and it's when one person or corporation intentionally damages someone else's business relationships with a third party. In our case, that's you, the audience, causing economic harm. But it's not just political speech and alternative news channels on YouTube that have been damaged this year. YouTube's move to make their platform more closely resemble Comcast cable, where only the most mainstream networks can be found, has affected everyone on YouTube, including the very biggest content producers and the biggest YouTube channels in the world, like PewDiePie, Philip DeFranco, and H3. In this video from Coffee Break on YouTube, titled What 40,000 Views Tells Us About the Trending tab, it is explained that now trending as a YouTuber on YouTube is extremely difficult, while trending on YouTube as traditional media is very easy. And the data is quantifiable and shocking.
Who do we find trending a lot? Who do we find with a lot of times on trending? The answer is overwhelmingly traditional media. Traditional media as in ESPN, as in The Ellen Show, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Netflix, NBA, CNN, Vox. Almost all late night, or like traditional, like the most mainstream of mainstream media is who we see overrepresented on trending over and over and over again. And I want to stress, this is not due to the fact they're getting more views than these other YouTubers are.
For example, PewDiePie. His trending data is super interesting because he trends all over the world, yet he barely trends in the US. Now, here's where I tell you that we don't just have the US data set, we have all these other countries too.
The fix is in.
And when you look at those countries, PewDiePie is crushing it everywhere except the US, even in non-English speaking countries. If this is a simple algorithm, it's bizarre that the US would be the one place he does so poorly. What's unfair is that YouTube has clearly put their hands on the levers to make it literally easier for traditional media to get on trending. What's unfair is that controversial YouTubers get held to a different standard than traditional media, and that 95% of news on trending on YouTube is all mainstream takes.
I'd also like to point out that in Google's diabolical plan to control everything, they also just announced a plan to quote-unquote upgrade their Chrome web browser by no longer allowing ad blockers to be used with Chrome. The resulting backlash of this decision will undoubtedly hurt them, and it should. Google's Chrome accounts for 62% of website usage today, according to CNET and analytics firm StatCounter. The decision by Google to change Chrome to no longer allow ad blockers will undoubtedly drive even more people to better, faster, and more private web browsers like Brave. I've mentioned the Brave browser several times before, but I buried the lead. Not only is Brave faster than Chrome and private, when you use it, Brave will automatically block ads. But if you prefer, you can see ads using Brave and get paid for doing so with basic attention tokens, a cryptocurrency which you can then use to tip your favorite content producers. It's a win-win. Hurt Google, which is an evil, monopolistic censoring behemoth, and browse the internet more privately and on your terms. I'll leave a link to the Brave browser below so you can download it, but remember to install it and then use it as your browser and take a bite out of Google. And in other news, James Comey and John Brennan definitely need to lawyer up.
John Brennan isn't going to need one lawyer, he's going to need 5.
Investigations into the former FBI director and former CIA director for their roles in the Trump-Russia witch hunt are heating up, and Attorney General William Barr has placed Connecticut U.S. Attorney John Durham in charge of reviewing the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation, while President Trump gave Barr complete power to declassify information linked to the investigation, leading Democrats to suggest that Trump would pursue a political agenda while investigating the politicized witch hunt against him. This comes from Zero Hedge, and I'll quote, selectively declassifying sources and methods in order to serve a political agenda and make it harder for the intelligence community to do their jobs protecting this country from those who wish to do us harm, said Senate Intelligence Vice Chairman Mark Warner, a Democrat from Virginia. If that's not the pot calling the kettle black, I'm not sure what is, because all the Democrats in the deep state have done is politicize and weaponize information that they felt could hurt this president and lead to impeachment. It's been a game of chess, perhaps 4D chess on the part of the president, and that has the deep state on the run because the president is clearly winning. Perhaps congressional Republicans will focus next on Joseph Misfood, the Maltese professor and Clinton ally, who seeded the rumor that Russia had dirt on Hillary Clinton. Of course, as listeners of Dan Bongino are well aware, Misfood and the deep state tried to frame George Papadopoulos with a woman and $10,000 in cash, but they failed miserably.
I don't think President Trump was tweeting about UK interference out of the blue for no reason last week, because let me explain why. The day I met with Stefan Halper and Azra Turk in London, I was invited by the British Ministry of Foreign Affairs to meet with them at their offices, including with Tobias Ellwood, who was the number 2 at the time under Boris Johnson. So clearly, when the New York Times suggested in their reporting today that the British were told of this operation, I believe the British actually were actively spying on me as well. And I think part of what President Trump was tweeting last week about the British spying was about this involvement in this operation in London. So I guess we have a lot more to find out.
So back to Comey and Brennan, 2 treacherous, seditious deep state characters that are in deep water now. According to former Representative Trey Gowdy, communications between Comey and Brennan are the key to unlocking the decisions behind the dossier. Whoever is investigating this, tell them to look for emails between Brennan and Comey in December of 2016. As we've said in previous videos, friends, the tables have turned, and now the deep state traitors need to lawyer up. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and remember, you can always find my very latest videos at the top of sgtreport.com, the antidote to corporate propaganda. God bless. Bye-bye.
There are going to be indictments. There's going to be grand juries. John Brennan isn't going to need one lawyer. He's going to need 5.